All right, hello, welcome back. Another Sunday, another episode as always. Getting inching closer and closer to 100. Let's go. Just a few more. Just a few more. We're almost there. Well, welcome to the show. Now you get to be on the other side of the podcast scene, I guess. Yeah, no problem. So, if you want to kind of explain what you do in the scene. Oh, wait, you're muted. Shoot.
Oh, I am?
Now you're not.
Oh my god.
Hello. That was my bad.
Hey. No, you're good.
Anyway, what did we miss? Uh, I don't know why it was muted. I never have that thing muted. Oh well. Anyway, now we're good. Hello. They could hear me, but not you. Oh well. I could though. So what did we
Um,
miss?
Basically, all you missed is that I have never been the interviewee before, and I've always been the interviewer on
True.
my own podcast. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to be the other end of the podcast scene this time.
Yes, indeed. Okay. So yeah, we were gonna go over what you do. Obviously, you podcast a bit. We'll get into that, but
Yeah, so I was saying my name is Zeas for those of you who don't know me. I am a Twitch streamer, a content creator. I speedrun, I play variety games. I also host my own podcast with Geo Gringo and West Dog, two legends. Love those guys. And I also host tournaments. I commentate. I do a little bit of everything, honestly. I'm a utility player here. I do a little bit of everything for sure.
bit busy are we?
A little bit, honestly. I host 2 tournaments a year, and between that, I do commentary appearances and, just stream on a pretty regular basis. Um, so yeah, I definitely keep myself busy in the streaming space for sure.
Well, that's good. It's hard to do a lot in the streaming space. So I'm always
Yeah,
impressed if people
100%.
can mentally take it. I guess.
Well, usually I'm an employed Andy, but I have been unemployed for about 5 months. So,
Oh, I was for like 2 years, so I get it.
oh dude, you somehow make a lot of time when you don't have a job to go to. Um, but yeah, that's mainly how I've made the time, but even outside of that, like you said, mentally handling just like the constant flow of content and doing things, and especially from the organizational standpoint, like it can be hard for sure.
hmm
It can definitely be hard. I mean, getting somebody for how many weeks in a row now
So,
on your podcast, like that's crazy.
well, we're almost at 100, like I said, so somewhere
Yeah, that's
around there.
definitely wild. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, we've been out here for a while. I keep getting like encoding overloads. See, this is what
Oh.
I was talking about. We were talking about earlier how we had like a nice, smooth, no tech issue thing, and then, yep, here we go.
The setup went so well. I promise the setup went so well.
And now it's all going to hell. What have we done? Yeah, I don't know what's causing it either, but I mean, the stream's still live, so I think we're
Yeah.
good overall.
Yeah,
So,
we're still going strong.
all right, well, as long as everything stays stable, hopefully, we can get into kind of the start of the podcast here, where I ask how you found out about speedrunning and got into it.
So I for the probably for the past like 9 years ish, I've been like loosely aware of what speedrunning is. Like I knew the concept, but I never really like looked too deeply into it. Like I'd be playing video games with one of my best friends, and we'd always like make this joke about like playing a level really fast. We'd be like speedrun, 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 like that kind of thing. But never really like actually watched a full run or anything like that. So I knew what it was. And I think actually, surprisingly, my first speed game that I ever got introduced to was Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Hmm.
Um, and the only reason I found out about it is because I think it was either during the era or it was after the era where people were like messing with their physical copies of the game to save time and they were doing all this like crazy stuff to their discs. And I was like, what the like that's crazy. Like this is what speedrunners do. Like that was my impression of speedrunning for the longest time. I was like, oh my God, like that's incredible and also hilarious that that saves time. Um, but my more formal introduction to speedrunning was in the summer of 2020. Um, I was just like randomly browsing YouTube. It was peak pandemic, like everybody was home. I was bored. Um, and I saw on my YouTube recommended Simply's 138.28, the former world record. And Super Mario 64 was like one of my favorite games as a kid. Probably the first game I ever played. Um, and like obviously I knew what speedrunning was. I'm like, man, I've never sat down and like watched a full run before. So I decided to watch the former 120 world record, and I was just like amazed throughout the entire thing. I was like, I had no idea you could play the game like this. I had no idea you could move Mario like this. Like this is insane. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Just sucked in immediately. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." Um and I had never really been on like Twitch or anything, but after seeing that world record, I went over to Twitch and like clicked on Simply's Twitch and he was live doing runs. And I was like, "Okay, I guess we're watching speedrunning today." Um and we kind of just went from there, you know? It was
Got
just
sucked in.
I immediately, it was literally one day I was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen." And I started watching Simply pretty much, and from there, like, I started to discover other runners, Cheese, Punkay. Um, I discovered other categories. So, 70 star, 16 star. I started watching like Zoofy, D whatever, those runners. So it just went from there. And I never actually started to like learn speedrunning until I want to say it was like March of 2021 was when I was like, okay, I watch enough of this, I might as well try it for myself. And I actually learned Owless on 3D All Stars, which
Oh.
is the most cursed
Oh
thing I've
no.
ever done. I was one of the suckers that bought 3D All Stars for no reason.
Well, hey.
GTS, you trying to
Oof.
tell me something?
Oh no. It's fine.
um, but yeah, no, I learned Owless and I was like, oh my god, like the thrill of hitting Owless for the first time was like insane. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna commit. I'm just gonna learn to run. I think I might as well at this point. So I got a proper emulator and I sent it, did my first 70 run, and the rest is history. Now we're here 3 years later.
Humble beginnings, truly.
Absolutely. Absolutely humble beginnings. 3D All Stars, very humble.
Yeah, it's great. Well, so you uh, at least it sounds like you started on emulator, which is
Mm,
fine. No, as long as you have a good controller.
I was playing on a PS5 controller.
So maybe
I'm not
not
gonna
optimal
I'm not
for
gonna
Mario 64, but
lie. I was playing on a notchless PS5 controller. Queso in chat right there. I know he's a fellow PS5 controller, Andy. Um and like I made do with it. Like I got some very good times with a PS5 controller, and obviously anyone who knows my stream, anyone who has ever watched my content before, I hold my controller upside down. That was my shtick for the longest time. Still kind of is, but Yeah, no. I was playing on a absolutely cursed controller and holding it upside down at the
Oh,
same time.
all
And
right.
it
Well, I definitely want to dive into that a little more.
so the controller thing, I was so young when this started. This was like back when I first started playing video games. Um I have two older brothers that like I would always play video games with them, and like I said, my first ever game was Mario 64. So like obviously my first console was an N64. I don't really know how I held the controller back then, but I evolved from N64 to like GameCube, and my family had a PS2, um and I think we got a Wii at one point, but like it's a little hard to hold that improperly, but like PlayStation was kind of my thing up until I got a Switch. So it was like N64, GameCube. I went like PS2, PS3, PS4, all that. But anyway, so all throughout that, I was holding my controller wrong, but I don't think anybody ever noticed. Nobody ever pointed it out. Nobody ever like tried to correct me or anything, because like I'd be playing these games and my gameplay wouldn't look like wrong. Like it would just look like I'm playing the game normally, but I'm obviously not holding my controller correctly.
Did you mean to hold it wrong?
No, I
Oh,
I
okay.
honestly I don't know. It was so long ago. I I didn't have any concept of like how games were supposed to work, or like anything like that. Like I literally got handed a controller as far as I know, and that's just the way I held it.
Hmm.
Um and I mean, like, look at this thing. Are you surprised I held it improperly? Like, what the
No,
hell?
I
What
mean,
are we
yeah.
talking about here? But um no, I just held it wrong, and it just stuck. And by the time somebody actually pointed it out, I think it was just one of my friends that I was playing games with one day. By the time somebody pointed it out, it was too late. I had already been doing it for so long, and like the muscle memory was just there. And it was too late to reverse. So, I'm 26 now. I started playing games when I was probably like 4 or 5, and it's just been that way ever since.
Hmm. So you're
I
just
play
used to
everything.
like the backwards stick movement and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, literally everything's inverted.
That's
Um,
crazy.
Up is down, down is up, left is right, etc. on my control sticks. Obviously all the button layouts are different. So, this is literally all I know. And it's the only competent way that I can play video games.
That's just wild. Brains are crazy.
No, it's seriously like I've talked to people about this, and like you said, the ways that your brain can just like wire itself to do certain things, regardless of how incorrect it is, you're just used to it. It's wild. It's
Hmm.
wild.
Can you
I
like demonstrate how you play the game?
So obviously my main speed game Super Mario 64. So I
Hmm.
switched the console a little bit ago. I was very scared about how I was going to do this. So the way I do it, I hold both my hands like this,
Hmm.
either side of the controller, like you would for just like a standard like PS5 controller, Xbox controller, whatever. The Z button, I use my left ring finger looped around the back of the controller. My pinky just kind of rests there for support. But my left thumb does all of the button work, A, B, the C buttons, and then I control with my right thumb.
Wow.
And sometimes like certain movements in Mario 64, like you need to hit A and R on the same frame.
Hmm.
So in that case, I switch the Z button hands to here, and then I'll wrap my pinky around the bottom of the controller like this, and then I'll just have my thumb hitting A
That's
and
just
my pinky hitting R.
that's so wild.
It is the most convoluted thing. of all time, especially playing on an N64 controller, but I made it work, you know? I made it work. The Hori is just kind of the same thing, like, I don't I just use this for throws, so I don't have to, like, hit a
Hmm.
lot of
Yeah.
buttons on it. Um, but yeah, it's a deal. I hold it the same way and do it with a PlayStation controller, I do it with a GameCube controller, like, everything, dude.
That's just my brain is having trouble understanding.
Let me put it this way. The way that, like, you hold your controller normally, you flipping it upside down and trying to play like that is basically my equivalent of flipping it right side up and trying to play it. If that puts it into perspective at all. Like, it's the same experience. It's
Crazy.
wild. I don't understand it, but this is how I play the game, man. This is how I move the guy. I speed run like this. I play any casual game like this, COD, fighting games like Smash, doesn't matter.
That's just fascinating to me.
It's been interesting to, like, not even just on the streaming side, but, like, I used to work this retail job, and I, like, was able to, like, bring my Switch and, like, just play games on break or whatever, and, like, I'd just be out here doing my thing, and people would walk up behind me, and they're like, "What what are you doing, man?" It's like, "Well, what do you mean?"
How do you do things in handheld mode? What is the screen upside down?
No, so there's caveats to this,
Mm.
right? That's what people assume. They're like, "Okay, well, if you're playing something like a handheld Switch or like a Game Boy or a DS or something, like, do you also flip that upside down?" No. No, I don't. I do everything handheld properly, and, like, motion controls, like VR and stuff,
Hmm.
I do all of that properly, but it's only controllers. It's only controllers. If it's a handheld, doesn't apply, or a keyboard or whatever, or driving or sleeping or doing any everyday task.
Hmm.
I do them all right side up, but it's only controllers,
Wow.
and I don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, if you're used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, I I don't drive upside down, I swear. I swear. At least I think. Um, yeah, that's pretty much the name of the game. I'm used to it, and that is the most competent way that I can play a video game is upside down.
It's just it's interesting that like anyone seeing that would just be so confused, maybe amazed on this, but it's just your norm.
Yeah.
So it's just very fascinating.
I That's why I made it a priority at one point to add a controller cam to my stream because I'm like, "Okay, well, I gotta make something out of this, right?"
Well, yeah,
Like,
I mean,
I didn't have a controller cam for the longest time, and somebody was like, "Dude, why don't you get one? Like, you it's so easy to set up." And I'm like, "Shit, you're right." Like,
free
maybe I
content.
it's free content, literally, and, like, if you go on, like, my TikTok and stuff, like, that's a lot of my videos before I started trying to, like, branch out into regular content. Um, it was just playing Mario 64 upside down and just, like, recording XCAM times and stuff like that. And it's always the same reaction, like, "Dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, how is this even possible?" Like, it's funny. It's a cool party trick, I guess.
Mhm. Saying like the
Like,
N64 controllers already fucked up enough. Like,
yeah,
why are we making it
exactly.
harder?
I'm literally just playing on hard mode, like, I mean, I know certain people that, like, they pinch the
Hmm.
stick, like, they hold it like a chopstick, and, like, I mean, I can't really I have no room to knock people for how they hold a controller, obviously, but, like, that's interesting to me, but, yeah, no, this definitely takes the cake for sure. But I know there's more of me out there. I know there's more of me out there. I saw a clip of, like, a Smash player who I think, like, HBox played with at an event or something, and HBox posted on Twitter. And he was like, "Who the hell did I invite to play Smash with me?" or something like that. And the kid's just like going crazy with his controller upside down, and it's like, look, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel good. There's more of me out there,
Yeah.
amazingly enough.
Just thinking about it, it sounds like, a challenge you do. It's like, can I beat this with the controller upside down? But no, that's your challenge would be playing it normally.
Exactly. I've done a 120 star run. I did a subathon recently, and one of my goals was to do a 120 star run right side up.
Mm.
So I did that, and I've tried 16 star just like regularly before. I think I got like a 20, like a 23 or a 24 or something. Holding my controller right side up. So I feel like if I actually practiced and like put in the effort, I maybe could get better at holding my controller right side up, but it's just like
It's
I'm
too
just
cool
taking.
not to at this point. Like,
Exactly, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I gotta commit at this point. Like
it's
I can't
literally
reverse
free
it.
content. Your normal is weird to everyone else. It's great. You don't have to do anything.
Literally, I just go live with a controller cam. I don't even need a face cam. I just fucking I just go live with my controller cam, and people are gonna be like, "What the hell?" It's
So,
great.
from start to now in speedrunning, you've always been doing that, obviously. So,
Mm, yep,
but you didn't
day
use a
one.
hand cam for a while. So, did it take a while for people to realize? Or
I I think like I was just like looking for interesting things to bring up on stream,
Hmm.
just like doing my regular thing, doing runs or whatever, and I just like randomly brought up the fact I was like, "Oh yeah, I hold my controller like this," and people are like, "What? You don't talk about that? Like, what do you
You
mean?"
can't just
Like,
drop that bomb out of nowhere.
it's just a random nugget of information for the viewers. It's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is what's happening off camera." Like, "Oh fuck, that's crazy."
Wild.
Yeah,
Just
didn't have a controller cam for like a year plus of streaming, and then I
missed
was
out on
like,
so much.
I know. I literally, where would I have been? Where would I be now if I had a controller cam since the beginning? Hindsight's 2020. GTA's hindsight's 2020.
Sure. So, I guess what have you been able to accomplish in speedrunning with this so far?
So my best times are still on emulator. I'm catching up on console, slowly but surely. I haven't really been consistently speedrunning a lot these days, but um all my accomplishments were mainly in SM64. I got a 52 and 70 star, 5244. I had a 1704 on emulator for 16, and I got a 203 in 120 star on MU. And I've tried 0 and or I've tried 1 star, not 0 star. Fuck that shit. I've tried 1 star and like I can hit like LBLJ and SBLJ and stuff, but um definitely my biggest accomplishments were in SM64 on emulator. And I also speedran Super Mario Sunshine at one point. I speedran any percent, and I think I got like a 131 or something like that. But yeah, no, I've gotten like decent times, like serviceable times,
Yeah, no,
especially
I was gonna
con-
say, like,
considering the setup here. I've gotten some pretty serviceable times, I would say.
yeah,
But
I just don't even know how that's possible. But if it's your normal, I guess it makes sense. But my brain just can't wrap around the idea.
you gotta try it and make upside down a thing. Maybe we gotta make it a category extension so I can get some easy world records or something.
Mm, maybe so.
That'd be
Trying to
pretty
think how
cool.
like NES seems pretty easy. Not too bad here. Except
Yeah,
my
I
left hand
mean,
hitting A and B. I don't know about that, but like,
like I think that's the main thing for a lot of people is that like when you switch when you switch hands like that, when you go from controlling a stick with your left hand to controlling the buttons with your right and then just swapping that. Not even the inversion of the actual directions. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
even just that simple swapping of hands is like a lot for people.
Yeah,
Um
no, I totally see why that's not easy alone.
the way I like to think about it is I like the way I look at it is like if you're moving a guy in like a 3D space, right? I'm right-handed. That's another question people ask me all the time is if I'm left-handed. No, I'm not left-handed. I'm right-handed. And I think controlling the guy with the stick in your dominant hand makes the most sense like intuitively.
Hmm.
But I know that's not how controllers are designed.
They're not, yeah,
But
they're not.
but like, it just that makes the most sense in my brain to be able to control your 3D movement with your dominant hand and just press buttons with your left hand. Like, you know? Like,
Yeah.
that's what makes sense to me, personally. I know
Hmm.
I'm going against, 40 years of controller logic, but, you know,
Hmm.
sometimes you just have to defy the norms a little bit, you know?
Yeah. I I kind of get some things too. Like there's random things I do. Like I'm right-handed, but there's like a few things I do incorrectly. Like Guitar Hero, I'm always
Mm.
backward. I do left-handed,
Oh,
and I just
interesting.
thought that was correct. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like hitting the
It's a
buttons
similar
with the
situation.
yeah, hitting the buttons with the dominant hand just makes more sense, I guess.
Right.
And then like I'll cut with my left hand, which I guess
Oh, like, when you're, like, cooking and stuff?
well, yeah, just like, just cutting any food. Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
and I just can't do it with my right. I don't know. I've always done it with my left. It's backwards, but yeah, so in that sense I can kind of understand.
Yeah,
But
exactly, like you said.
cutting food's a little easier than playing speedrunning a video game, so
Well, it depends on who you ask.
mm,
But, yeah, no, it's exactly like you said, just, like, building up that normalcy and, like, maintaining that muscle memory of just, like, correctly doing something, like, your brain can do crazy stuff. Your brain can do crazy stuff. There's a guy somebody has brought the or not somebody, people have brought this up to me so many times. There's, like, a guy that intentionally taught himself to ride a bike backwards. Like, it's just a example of if you want to do it, you wanna train your brain to do something, you could do it.
what does writing backwards mean?
I think, like, instead of, like, facing the handlebars, I think they, like, face away from the handlebars or something
I
like
don't
that, or
see where you're going.
well, nobody said it was safe. It's
Oh,
just like
okay.
oh, the steering is reversed. Oh, so he has to, like, steer left to go right and right to go left.
Hmm.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't actually know the logistics of how it was working, but okay, so he can see where he's going. That's good. But yeah, no, apparently the steering's reversed and he trained his brain to do that just for fun, just to prove a point.
I mean, fair enough.
Exactly. It's free content. It's free content,
Free
like you said.
content. It's all that matters. Free content. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, those times are just good. I just, again, I can't believe with that kind of setup. It just seems like such a handicap, but I guess it
In
isn't.
in some ways it is because especially playing on OEM,
Like the
um
buttons just have got to be harder to press,
they
right?
are.
So,
They absolutely are. Like a lot of high level movement, like I'm just looking at this and like I'm looking at the input displays and I'm like, I know my hands can't do that. Like, there's
okay.
just no way. Like, there's just no way I could do some stuff. Unless I absolutely figure out a way to make it work. But like, yeah, no, there's definitely some limitations, 100%.
Okay. So, and again, like any game, casually speedrunning, it's all the same.
All the same. Reasonably. Like the NES controller, I'd probably hold that normally.
Really? I
Um
feel like that'd be the easiest to do upside down because there's so few buttons in comparison to anything else, and you don't have to worry about stick movement.
that is a good point. I mean, I've never tried it. So, I guess
I see.
I can't say too much yet. Um the most OEM NES controller experience that I have is I bought my dad the NES Classic for Christmas one year.
Hmm.
And like obviously that's not true one to one, you know,
I think the
actual.
controller's pretty s- much the same. I don't know.
Is it
All I
similar?
I think so. All I know is that the classic has like horrible input lag.
Yeah, it does. It's
So
so bad.
I
It's
can't
like
say
the
I've ever
worst.
used one, but the controller
You
looks similar.
shouldn't.
No, no.
You shouldn't.
I'm out.
You
I'm out here
shouldn't.
with my RGB modded AV Famicom. I'm having a good time.
Oh,
We're ch-
hell
we're
yeah.
chilling.
You got the good stuff. You got the good stuff over there.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's all I do. So I gotta. Although my N64 is RGB modded as well. So
Oh, no kidding.
yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got a good setup going. There's
Hell yeah.
still some things I need to do, but overall,
Honestly, hey, listen, if it's your primary thing and you're passionate about something, you should absolutely invest in it.
hmm
And modding your consoles, getting like good components for your controllers, like that's all part of it.
hmm
So I totally get that 100%.
yeah, that's the next thing is getting good components. Vinny fixed up my controller because my stick was horrible, and now the stick's good, but like some other pieces broke in the
Oh
shell
yeah.
because it's just so old, and I
Oh,
got it from eBay. You're it's up in the air how good the quality is when you're looking over there. So yeah, I know my A
oh
button, the
yeah.
plastic fell off, so
Oh
pushing A
my
is weird
god.
now. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Old controllers, man.
Oh, dude, absolutely. And eBay especially, like you're rolling the dice a lot of the
hmm
time. Um But if you're really looking for like a solid, just like baseline controller, hit up Artemis.
Yeah.
Hit up Artemis 64. We just interviewed her on my podcast Pace Pals yesterday. She has so much stuff.
hmm
Like, she was like, I have a box of like 70 OEMs just sitting here. And then, like, there's bound to be a good one in here. So definitely hit up Artemis if you just
That's
want like a
crazy.
good shell or like button
hmm
pads or anything like that.
My thing is, it's specifically got to be, the blue, fantastic color. It's all I have a theme going on here.
She might have one. You never
Like
know.
my my console, my EverDrive, my Hori, my controller, they're all the same color. Like
Oh shit.
yeah,
That's
I've
hard
got
to pull off.
So that's why I'm scared to change anything. But no, I've got
Yeah.
a good setup going on here. I'm glad they made like the EverDrives. Like they just make all the EverDrives in those old console colors. So yeah, I
Oh
just
hell
have
yeah.
this one. I think it's like an
That's really
old,
cool.
outdated one too, because I got this many a years ago. Like it's still the Ultra EverDrive. I think they call it
Mm.
something else now, but I don't know.
Yeah, that looks clean. That's kind of my Hori color, but that
Yeah, I
like
have the same Hori.
transparent blue. Oh hell yeah.
Yep, that's over here. Yep, same one.
Let's go.
Yeah, they don't have one that's full, so like it's white on the bottom, but I mean close enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
It matches the theme when it's standing upright. That's all that matters.
As long as there's some element of it that matches, that's all you need.
hmm Yeah, I do like making all my hard. I don't care about like software, in terms of like I don't care about buying physical games, old physical games, and having collections or whatever. I just like having the hardware, and then I
Mm.
just get an EverDrive and call it a day.
Yeah, no, the hardware. I'm definitely along the same like lines. Like I would love to have like really cool retro hardware that's in like really good condition. Um the N64 is like as close as I get, but my reset button doesn't work, so
Oh,
it's not it's not in perfect
so you have to
condition.
just off and on every time?
Yep.
Oh,
It makes it a little bit weird. but hopefully my power switch doesn't break at some point. But it's been a year. It's holding on strong,
That's good.
and I've flicked that thing off pretty hard sometimes after losing a run. So you know.
Yeah, understandable. We've all been there.
We have absolutely all been there. That is part of speedrunning. You are going to get frustrated,
Hmm.
and you know
Especially if you are passionate about it.
exactly. If you're passionate about it, you're speedrunning at a high level. Like you are going to get tilted, and
Hmm.
I feel like it's just part of it. But it's all about how you come back. It's all about how you
True.
come back.
Very true.
Maybe I'll
So,
get there someday.
so yeah, that's kind of mostly what you've done in terms of like just doing runs.
hmm
Have you touched any other games or anything?
Um, Not to the extent of SM64. I had a little bit of an arc with SMS any percent.
Hmm.
Um, I think I maybe consistently ran it for like 3 months, and then I got the PB that I have. Um, and then like from there, I think I just went super hard on learning it and like grinding it like IL times and just like constantly doing runs because I reached a point with SM64 that I was just like, I'm burnt out. Like, I'm just not having fun. Like, I have always wanted to learn another speed game, so I'm just gonna commit to SMS. And I basically did the same thing with SMS, like hard grinded, IL times, the whole thing. And I think I kind of low key burnt myself out with that game too. And to me, SMS is a way more frustrating run than SM64 is. Um, Like, a meltdown in SM64, it's like, whatever, like, it's fine, but, like, a meltdown in Sunshine just feels so much worse. Um, and yeah, I did that for about 3 months, and I've just never been able to reclaim the same, like, motivation to play SMS, as I can with SM64. So, maybe someday I'll go back to it if I'm really feeling it, like, I have the proper controller now, so that's good. Um But yeah, I did SMS for a bit, and I I speedran I speedran The Sims 4. There is a, there's one achievement that you can get. The category is called grilled cheese percent, and there is a bunch of different, like, achievements that you get in The Sims, all related to making grilled cheeses, and I I was motivated to do this because of Stephanie Lee. Shout out Steph. She also ran the same category. I actually broke the old world record on the day that I learned the run, but then Steph re-broke my record
Ah,
before I ever had a chance to do anything.
epic.
So I have second place on the leaderboard. Steph has the world record. Um, but yeah, that was a goofy time. That was pretty fun. But
Truly the pinnacle of your career, it sounds like.
oh, absolutely. I mean, it's my only record technically, even though it's not on the leaderboard that way. Um, but yeah, my crowning achievement was my not world record in the Sims 4 grilled cheese aspiration
Got
percent
it.
category, definitely. But um yeah, no, I those are pretty much the only real ways that I've speedran games before for like sitting down and actually learning tech and tricks and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I do want to expand in the future just to try more games. I've always been interested in SMB, SMB
Mm.
one. I've always been interested in a 2D game. But I played Super Metroid recently, and its Beeve also ran that game. And he's like gassing up the speed run. He's like, dude, this is a really, really cool speed run. You should try it. Like, I mean, Super Metroid is a great game, so
Hmm.
I would definitely be inclined to try it. But Yeah, no, SMB's always kind of been on my radar. Super Metroid's now kind of on my radar. I don't know. If I ever get the motivation to like fully learn something else, I definitely want to learn a 2D game of some sort.
Well, always good to hear.
Hell yeah. But yeah, no, it's been a long 3-year journey in the speedrunning scene for me so far, and I definitely don't have any intention of stopping anytime soon. So we're gonna keep it going.
Sounds good. So I guess we can dive more into the not just speed running aspects of speed running,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because as you've said at the start, you do a lot of other things. We can start diving in there.
Sure. Man, I do so much outside of speedrunning. Oh my god. I mean, I try to make like regular content whenever I can. Um, I always like to do like random stuff on my stream that's not even gaming related, like my subathon that I did recently, which is also something I did. That lasted for like 76 days. It was insane.
Holy crap.
Don't know how it lasted that long. It was nuts, but I'm eternally grateful that it lasted that long. Um, but yeah, even like during that, I was doing things like there was one thing that I did like a tier list of like cereal with like different liquids in the bowl. So I just had like a
Sure.
baseline cereal and then put a bunch of stuff in the bowl and then like tried them all. Um, I did one where I like dressed up as Bob Ross and like followed one of his painting tutorials. Um, like I've done like all sorts of stuff like this, but it's a matter of actually sitting down and editing the content, which
Hmm.
is definitely the hardest part.
Yeah.
Um, so I try to do that wherever I can just to put out actual content. Um, and I guess other than that, like I have my own podcast. I host Pace Pals with Geo Gringo and West Dog. Um, and it's a podcast focused around the event Pace
Hmm.
that happens twice a year, the Mario 64 focused event, but obviously there's a bunch of other speedruns that happen there. Um, so we just kind of we talk about the qualifiers, we talk about the finals, and then we interview a bunch of Mario 64 community members and just other speedrunning adjacent people. Um, we had like Summoning Salt on. You've had Summoning Salt on this show as well. Uh, he was a great interview. Um, we've definitely explored all around there. So we're cooking there, and I host tournaments as well. I host a 70-star tournament and a 120-star tournament every single year. So I got a lot going on outside of just speedrunning for sure.
Hmm. So, how did the podcast start?
So Pace Pals was actually Geo Gringo's idea. Um he like we knew we were both like sports fans, and like we knew a lot about like sports media, like ESPN, stuff like that. Um and he was like, "Dude, wouldn't it be cool to like have a podcast or something? It's just like surrounding pace where we talk about like the quals and like we talk about the runs every weekend of qualifiers, and like we interview the runners afterwards and stuff like that." And I'm like, "Wait, that is actually a really good idea, Geo Gringo. We should definitely do that." Um so after the first round of qualifiers for Pace Summer 2023, this was almost a year ago at this point. Um we started in January of 2023, and it was just him and I breaking down, all the runs that happened and breaking down like different highlights of people's runs and going over the standings and making predictions on like who we think is going to qualify and like what position in the top 7 they're going to qualify in. Um and then we just started getting interviews. I think Cheese, Callie, and Beeve were like our first 3 interviews. Um, and we were like, "Holy shit, like this is dope." Like we were just having fun with it. And yeah, we went from there. And um we added West Dog on as like a regular like appearance, especially when we do our like qualifier recap episodes, or like our finals recap episodes or anything like that. Um but yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun to just like sit down and just like talk to people about Mario in this sort of context. Just like we're both so passionate about the game, and we just love talking about it. Akin to how people talk about sports, you know?
Mm. I think it fits pretty well that you're all like commentators for the game as well, so it all feeds
Absolutely.
in pretty nicely.
Absolutely. Gio was actually it was his first commentary appearance. I think you were in the booth together, were you not?
I have been, yeah.
At this past pace?
Hmm. Oh, that
Yeah,
was
because
his
it was
first too?
yeah,
Oh, I did
yeah.
not know that. Okay.
That was like one of his first commentary appearances, like
Yes,
for
I
a
know it
live
was
event at
mine
least.
because I only did one as a trial
Yeah.
run because I just expressed interest. So I didn't
Right.
know. Okay.
Yeah. Gio's definitely the newest addition to the commentary scene, but I mean, he does an amazing job. Gio's a very good commentator, and I think it works well for us because we look at commentary very similarly. Um, we look at commentary a lot of the same ways because we have a very heavy like sports background, and we watch a lot of sports games, and how those commentators kind of approach their work. Um, we like to look at it the same way, and Wes does too. And I think that's why it works so well for us for sure.
Hmm. And when did you start just doing commentary? Because I assume that started first.
Yeah, I was definitely a commentator first. Um my first ever real comms appearance was, I think it was Airbrush 45, which was also my first ever Mario tournament that I participated in. Airbrush was doing a 16-star tournament for like the Halloween season. He called it the Spooky 16. Um, so that was kind of my first real commentary appearance. I did commentary for the first couple of Women History Month tournaments. Um, and then from there, like I hosted my own events. I did commentary for that. And when it came time for, it was like one season of the pace qualifiers. I think it was pre 2022. I think. I think it was then. Um I like messaged Milo. Maybe it was pre 2023. I messaged Milo, and he just wanted like a quick, like, either a couple videos of commentary or just one. And I sent him a couple of like my tournaments, and that's kind of how I got involved um in like GSA and doing stuff like that. But if there's ever things happening in the Mario community, I always, reach out, and I'm like, hey, if you need commentary, like I got you. Like I know, just like from organizing my own stuff, how hard it can be to get commentators. So I always try to reach out when I can and just offer up, my time, and just be like, hey, I love commentating. I'll be there, you know? But again, humble beginnings, started small, and then kind of just grew from there. And I was doing live commentary at pace. um not just for the LTA, but I did CZR's 70-star drum run. um and that was really cool. And yeah, I just gonna try to go up from there. Maybe go to like a GDQ if somebody wants to have me on their run, or something like that. But yeah, no, that's kind of my journey through commentating thus far, at least.
Mhm. Sounds like you started doing it pretty early on as well. So
Yeah, I would
always
say
seems
so.
fitted for it, I guess.
Yeah, I never knew I was gonna actually enjoy streaming to begin with. And once I just really started getting into it and commentary too, I was like, "Oh my god, this is actually really fun." Like I have a good time while doing this, and I think that's really the most important part for a commentary is just having fun with it
Mhm.
and just being yourself really and just talking about something cuz like you obviously know about the thing you're talking about, so just go out there, say words and have fun with it, you know?
True. So, you've done your own tournaments and events. So,
Mm.
how did that start?
My first ever tournament was the summer of 2022. I hosted a 70 star tournament and I was definitely pretty heavily inspired by Simply's freshman 16. That was like a really big event that was going on when I kind of first really started paying attention to the Mario speedrunning scene. Um, he was definitely somebody that motivated me a lot to host my own stuff because like he was just out here like the races were super hype. Like I was locked in on these races. Like I was following the bracket. Like it was scratching some sort of itch in my brain. And I was like, man, like this seems like so much fun to just like host your own thing and to just like be the person who hosts these races and just like has all this like super hype stuff going on. Um so, I decided to make the plunge and I started DMing people that I had met in the community and I was like, "Hey, I want to host the 70 star tournament. Are you interested in joining?" And people were very receptive and I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go. Like, let's get this going." I had no idea what I was doing. I had never hosted a tournament before. Like, I no experience. I had never even done stuff like that in real life, just like organizing people in that kind of way. So, I was kind of just learning how I went and, you know, I talked to other TOs just like kind of loosely about the kinds of things that they did for their events and like learned a little bit that way, but for the most part, I was just sending it, man. And it was the most like looking back on it, it was the most scuffed thing ever. Like the production and like the layouts and like everything was just so scuffed, but like it's your first tournament.
Gotta
Like it's
start
gonna be
somewhere. Humble beginnings.
exactly humble beginnings. That's the theme here, right?
Clearly,
That
yes.
that's the
I think
theme.
we've established that by this point.
um but yeah, no, it was super fun. It was some of the most fun I'd ever had in that scene to that point, and I just fell in love with the process, and I fell in love with, being able to host my own stuff, and, I enjoy it now enough to host 2 a year and put in that time and that effort, and, um, my biggest thing about events is no matter what I host, especially if it's Mario related, I want it to be double elim. That was my biggest thing. That was like the non-negotiable part of my events. It's like I want this to be double elimination. Um, and I think it adds so much to the event itself. And I think it adds a lot of hype to the matchups, especially if someone's going on like a deep losers bracket run or something. Like, it's a lot like the competitive melee scene in that way. Like some of the most hype stuff from the melee scene is a deep losers bracket run.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, it started from that event and I've hosted 3 70 star tournaments and I'm going into my second 120 star tournament next month.
Mm.
So it's going to be fun. It's a blast, honestly. I don't know if you've ever hosted an event before, but
Not like
if you
that.
haven't, if you haven't, I would absolutely recommend it. It's so fun.
Mhm. I feel like you need to have certain skills though to be able to do something like that. But
I mean, more or less. I mean, like I said, I didn't know fucking anything
hmm,
when I first hosted my tournament. Like, I'd never done something like that before, and you just kind of learn as you go. So
fair.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's a cool experience, and it's just cool to like bring a community together and everybody just like cheering each other on. Like it's awesome. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite parts about streaming is hosting events for sure.
Hmm. And do your tournaments have like certain skill requirements or anything like that, or just go ham?
So in general, I try to aim my tournaments for the intermediate like skill level. Um so like my first 70 tourney, I think I had runners that were all like 54, 55 and up. Um and even my first 120 tourney last year, like I tried to do the same thing. I've I've learned a lot about where to put the ranges and like how to curate a bracket to make the most like interesting races and the most interesting matchups. Um, I'm definitely still experimenting a lot with that, but um, definitely the intermediate like PB range for Mario 64 is like where I love to target. Like the 59 to 54 range is like it's beautiful. Like all the races are super interesting because you just never know who's gonna win. You just don't know because runners at that level, they're still so apt to make mistakes and to like lose a bunch of time that even if you're like a 54 going up against a 57, like that can be anyone's race. Like it's still it's just so interesting to me, and I think it produces some really really cool races. Um, so yeah, the intermediate range is definitely where I like to target. Um, but my upcoming 120 tournament is going to be the first time I'm really kind of dipping into the high range, like the high level range. Um, so it's going to be like 137s, 38s,
Mhm.
39s, like that kind of range. But I know there's been a little bit of demand for a high level 120 tourney that's like races and not just an LTA. So
That's been a while, hasn't it?
yeah, it has been a while. And Callie was actually one of the main motivators for me to be like, okay, I'm just gonna send it because he was like, dude, I just want to race. Like, I'm tired of LTAs. Like, I just want to do races. Um, so I was like, shit, is there like people want to do this? Like, people want this event. So I just started DMing people, and they were like, oh hell yeah. I was like, all right, let's go. That's awesome.
Well,
But
there you go.
short answer, intermediate range, but I am kind of starting to experiment with the top level range a little bit
Mhm.
for
And
my events.
how many like entrants do you usually get?
Um, it kind of varies. It's definitely easier to get surprisingly, it's easier to get people for a 70-star tournament than it is to get people for a 120-star tournament
I can
at the
believe that.
intermediate range. Um, I mean, yeah, in general, like 70 is definitely a much more approachable category.
Much more race friendly.
Exactly, exactly. And even if you're getting people who aren't like the most skilled runners on planet Earth, like the runs are only going to be like 59 minutes to like maybe a little over an hour. So definitely very, very race friendly. Um, but I think I try to target 32 for my 70 tourney and my 16-star tourney, or not my 16-star, my 120-star tourney. I also targeted about the same, but I didn't do double elim all the way throughout my 120 tourney. I did it like the first 2 rounds were single and then top 8 was double elim because a 32 person double elim 120-star tournament would have lasted 4 months. And
Oh my
I'm
god.
not I'm not about to do that. Um, but yeah, it's somewhere in the ballpark of like 32 to, whatever, especially for 70 and maybe like 16 to 32 for a 120 tournament for sure. Just depends on how I format it.
Got it.
But I'm gonna target 16 for this upcoming 120 tourney
Hmm.
for sure.
Yeah, make it not as complex with the
Yeah.
amount of people because yeah, 120 takes a long time.
Oh, it's so long, man. It's
Hmm.
such a long category. Like, I try to do like 5, 6 races in a day sometimes, even for 120 star, and like I'm doing comms
Oh,
on all of them.
oh no.
And yeah, it can be a long day. So the less matchups, the better, honestly,
Yeah,
especially for 120.
I can't imagine doing it for that long.
Oh, I love it though. It's so fun.
Hmm. I mean, as long as you're enjoying it, that's all that matters, right? So.
Definitely, definitely. I think the biggest part is the fact that other people enjoy it. It's not even just me, it's like the chat and the runners themselves, like everybody's just having fun, and I think that's definitely one of the biggest motivators. Um and I've always managed to get like pretty sizable prize pools. That's another a big
Ooh,
part of
nice.
my tournaments. I do community funded prize pools, and people really show up for those, man. And I don't take any of it. Like I'm not profiting off of any of these tournaments. Like I'm losing money on some of these tournaments sometimes. And being able to like pay people out for just like grinding in my tournament and like doing really well, it's such a good feeling. Like you're familiar with Sab Xander, right?
I think so.
He he was a Wind Waker HD, like a top level Wind Waker HD runner, but now he does SM64. He was playing on emulator for the longest time, and he was playing on emulator for my 70 tournament one year, and he ended up winning, and I think he won like $1,000, and
Oh,
he bought like a complete console setup. Like he completely switched over because he won my tournament and he got the payout. And I'm like, I love that, dude. I fucking love that. Like, oh, it's such a cool feeling, man.
man, can
It
you
really is.
make like a Mario 1 tournament and only invite me or something? I could use that, you know?
No, we'll get you on there. We'll get you the 1-man bracket.
The one man bracket.
That's what speedrunning
The
is. You're competing
content.
against yourself.
True.
All right.
Damn, it just
It's
got
just
real all of a sudden.
it's actually, yeah, no, this tournament's actually just gonna be GTA's just doing runs, and it's
It's all the people want, truly.
exactly some high level SMB. Hell yeah, I'm here for it.
So, yeah, you just got done with the big subathon, as we
Mm,
briefly mentioned, but kind of curious how that started and what you did during that what, like 2.5 months or something.
yeah, just about. Um, I mentioned this before when we were talking about like finding time to stream and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But I was working a job for about a year, and I got laid off in July, like very early July, and I was like, fuck, fuck, fuck. Like, job market sucks right now. Like, oh my God, like, what am I supposed to do? And I was talking to Lucky Owl, who was just on this very podcast not too
Hmm.
long ago. And she had just recently wrapped up her subathon. She did a Lucky Thon. Um, and it was like pretty successful for a first subathon. And she was doing like a lot of cool stuff with it and like seemed to be having fun. And I was like, I like kind of thought about it. I was a little apprehensive because I think the big thing for a subathon is like you start it and then it lasts for like 2 days and then you're like, "Oh fuck, like what the hell happened?" Um so that was like kind of part of it that was like a little scary to me, but I was talking to her and she was like, "Dude, like September was coming up because we were talking about this in like August." And she was like, "Dude, why don't you just do a September subathon?" I was like, "You know what, Lucky Owl 360, you're right. I should just go for it because like what else, like I have nothing to lose here, right?" Um so yeah, I started it on September 2nd, and it just ended a couple weeks ago. I had to take some days off here and there just because like I had other IRL stuff going on, or my internet was bugging out. It wasn't working, and I was like trying to get it to work for like 2 hours, and I'm like, "All right, we're just going to run this tomorrow. Like it's not worth it." Um but yeah, I had 44 goals to start. Reference to the username.
Mm,
Aha.
I see, I see.
Um I have
Damn, if I
44 goals
started
since
one, we'd have issues, dude.
you'd have to do goals, like, every 2 subs, man. You have to be like you really have to pack them in there. Good luck coming up with 99 goals, by the way. Oh
Oh
my
no.
god. Um, but yeah, I had a good solid list of starter goals, and some of the higher up ones were interesting. I have to get a tattoo still.
Oh gosh.
Um,
Okay.
and chat decided that it was going to be the, green M&M, like the sexified green M&M.
The things people
So
do for chat, you know, I could never.
in hindsight, probably not one of my best ideas, GTAs, but I
Yeah.
was like, "You know what?" Because, like, the thing was, I didn't think I was gonna get that high. Like,
Mm.
I
Never
I ended up
underestimate Twitch chat, man.
I'm saying, like, absolutely, I know that now, but, like, I made the 44 goals, it was up to 1,000 subs, right? And I was
Mhm.
like, "There is no way I'm gonna get that high." So, like, I put shaving my head. I used to have long hair. When we first met
Mhm.
GTAs at Pace, I had long hair.
I remember.
What do you think? Like, what the fuck?
Something I've noticed
So
with subathons and going bald. I don't know. Very common occurrence I've been noticing.
people are willing to put a lot on the line here, you know? Um, but yeah, no, tattoo was like 900 subs. I had to dye my hair at one point. I dyed it purple. Um, I had to shave my head at 1,000. Um, and in between all of that, just like in that process of getting there, like I was doing just a bunch of casual games that I'd never played before. Um, so hold on, let me pull up the goals list because there was like a lot there. Hold on. Let's pull up the Google Sheets. All right, so what are some highlights here? Oh yeah, the Bob Ross thing, that was part of it. I played Portal for the first time. That was really
Oh wow.
fun. I ate an onion, just like raw, just like straight up ate an onion.
Okay.
Um, I did a 24-hour stream where I did nothing but SM64 ROM hacks. That was pretty fun. I played like Skyrim. I played Celeste for the first time. Goated game, by the way, if you've never played Celeste.
Still haven't.
100% recommend.
Still haven't, and I've met one of the devs.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Oh no. Yeah.
No, you gotta get on that. Dude, it's such a good game. Like, I
Oh, I
promise
know. I'm
you.
just lazy.
I get it. That's why honestly, that's why I haven't played, like, half of the games on this list is because
You gotta
I
invest the
didn't
time, and it's like
exactly.
I could
Um,
do other things, you know.
exactly. Life gets in the way.
Mhm.
Life gets in the
Yes.
way. I did a cooking stream. I did a drunk 207 star, which is just 11670 and 120 back to back to
Oh,
back.
okay. Yeah.
Um, I taught my brother how to do 16 star. Oh, wait. I did runs of Mario Kart 64. Holy
Oh,
shit.
that's
That's
awesome.
right. That's right. I did runs of that. I think I got
Skips or
like
no skips though?
no skips, no skips.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, all cups, no skips. I know. I didn't learn the cool category.
It's okay.
Um, but yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. That was definitely one of the coolest things I've ever done on Twitch, and the support for it was insane. I will probably forever be thankful no matter how long I stream, beyond streaming, like I will always be very, very, very thankful for all of the support that I received during that subathon. It was insane. And the timing, especially with getting laid off from my job, that helped a lot. You know, shout out to being a student in America. If you know, you know, shout out student loans. So it really helped a lot with that. And yeah, it was just awesome. It was really, really fun.
Well, that's good.
Hell yeah.
Always nice when things go well,
Hell
especially
yeah.
when they unexpectedly do well.
Exactly. Exactly. That was the biggest thing for me about that whole subathon was just the unexpectedness of how long it went. 'Cause, like, when I started it, I was like, "Okay, maybe I'll get, like, 2, 300 subs, and then it'll last, like, a week, and then we call it a day, and, it'll have been worth it because it was my first ever subathon," and, I'm kinda just dipping my feet into that kinda aspect of content. Um, but no, it completely
Nope.
blew me away. It completely blew all of my expectations out of the
Get
water.
wrecked. No.
I'm saying, like, what the hell? I was planning my life around the subathon at that point. I was like, "Oh my goodness, like, this is for real." Like, but
Was it one of those like true ones, or did you like end like just stream every
I
day and
I ended stream overnight, but I
yeah,
did
okay,
stream
yeah.
every day.
Mhm.
The only thing that really held me back from not doing, like, the 24/7 stream was just my internet's not reliable enough for it.
Yeah. Been
Um,
there, don't worry.
no, seriously, you understand, like,
Mhm.
it's just like, it would just randomly disconnect at, like, 2 or 3 AM sometimes. Like, my bitrate would just go to shit and my stream would die, and it's just like, I don't wanna worry about that, so I, um I ended stream every night and restarted, and I'd probably stream for, like I tried to stream for, like, 7 or 8 hours a day, um, and then go to sleep, do it all again the next day. Some days were shorter, some days were longer. I think it evened out pretty well.
Yeah.
Um, but I think if I were to do it again, I think the next time I ever do one, I want it to be in, like, my own place, like, I still live at home. Um, I wanna have my own place, I wanna have a more reliable internet connection that only I'm using.
Yeah.
So, nothing wrong happens and,
Hey,
I'll
ever
do
since
it.
my dad retired, like, whew,
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
chilling, dude. It's been great. I was gonna bring it up, I think, before we started because we're talking about bad internet and how
Mm.
after starting stream and all of a sudden OBS was having issues, but like the
Oh.
first like 20 or 30 episodes of this podcast, I had like an old router and every episode the internet would cut out for like 5 times.
Oh my god.
So that's all in the VODs. All of
Oh,
my
you
old
kept it
episodes.
in? That's
I don't
awesome.
edit these. I mean, it's just
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I just upload it. It doesn't happen anymore though, so we're chilling.
Hell yeah.
There's only one podcast episode I actually went back and edited briefly to cut out some stuff because it wasn't the router. My power went out, which
Oh
was
my god.
a little more intrusive.
You
So,
definitely can't do anything about that. Oh my goodness.
yeah, not only that, twice. So, and
Oh,
one time was like for a minute, one was like for multiple hours. So it was like, well, so much for that
oh my
episode, but we made it
dude,
work.
losing any footage to a power outage is like
I didn't lose any footage, luckily,
oh, thank God. Okay.
because I have a laptop, so it has a
Mhm.
battery. It's always plugged in, but it can
Oh,
survive a little
okay.
bit without
Nice.
power. But
Perfect.
it was
Then you're
still
set.
it was still annoying
Oh,
because it
for
was
sure.
because I live stream these to start. And,
Mhm.
you can't really be live without an internet connection. So, but it's
Oh,
fine.
trust me. Oh, trust me, I know.
Oh, have you had some issues similar?
Oh, dude, hosting tourneys, like,
Oh
with an
God, yeah.
unreliable internet connection,
Oh
oh
no.
my god, it's the scariest thing in the world. It's like, "Oh, please just go. Just work all the way through today." Like,
Yeah,
please,
I
please, please,
tried a
please.
weekend long speedrun event, so like I don't how many hours did I do? Like 12 maybe? I don't know. But
Mm.
just like 3 days of like 12 hours of just speedruns people submitted and I did it. This was after my internet was reliable, but I was like so scared the whole time like
Oh,
please
yeah.
just work. Oh
Scary.
no, please.
It's so scary. Like, I've had my internet go out on me in the middle of races.
Oh
I've
god,
had
the worst.
I've had my power go out in the middle of races. I was, like,
Mhm.
hosting a match during a storm, and, like, I think a tree ended up falling on a power line somewhere, and I lost
God.
internet
Yeah.
and power for, like, 2 hours.
The best.
And, oh, dude, it's so cringe, man, but
Yeah.
oh, I used to stream on Wi-Fi, so, At least I've upgraded to Ethernet, and it's a little
I
bit
have
more
to use
stable.
Wi-Fi because my router's on a different level of the house. So,
Oh, well,
and I
you
have
just
no
gotta
way
get
to.
that.
Yeah,
Just gotta get that 100-foot Ethernet
I
cable or
I
something.
can't I can't make that work. Trust me. I've considered it. I've considered taping this giant cord throughout the entire house through a door. It's not the play.
At a certain point, it definitely becomes not worth it anymore, and you
Yeah,
just
it's
gotta
just
you gotta commit to the Wi-Fi bit.
yeah.
But yeah,
It is,
no.
it is
Oh,
what it is, as they say. So
it really is, man. It really is. But yeah, no, the internet situation, trying to host things,
the
trying to
internet
host
situation is
subathons.
crazy.
The internet situation is crazy. I'm gonna go on Moist Critical, but nah, it's it's tough out here. So, overarching point, next time I do a subathon, I think I'm gonna try to do the 24/7 gig because
Ooh, all right.
I think I think that's the most proper way to do a subathon, and I would love to do it that way. Um, my chat's gonna be playing a lot of words on stream when I
Mm,
finally do that.
I see.
Shout out to the Cheeseathon.
Mm. That's still going too, isn't
It's
it?
still going.
Will
It's like
never end.
day 110 or something. I don't even know.
Probably more than that.
Absolutely insane. I have no idea. It's been
I
going
think
on
I
for a
thought it was
long time.
broaching like half a year. Maybe that's a bit. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't
I don't
think it's
know.
been that long.
It's crazy.
It feels like it's been that long though. Absolutely.
I don't know
Oh
how
my
people do
goodness.
those subathons.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's
Your
wild.
your most popular game when you do the subathon can finally be I'm only sleeping or
Yeah,
whatever.
I
People the fucking meme.
know. Dude, my Twitch recap for whatever that year is gonna be wild. Top streamer and I'm only sleeping.
Yeah. Number one.
Huge.
Top 1%, whatever.
Exactly. Oh goodness.
Well, I'm running out of things to talk about. What have we not covered yet? Hmm.
I'm trying to think. Shit, we went through speedrunning content, talked about tourneys, we talked about the
Commentary,
subathon,
subathon. Yeah.
commentary. Yeah, we hit it. We hit a lot of stuff.
We're speed running this episode. That's what we're doing.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Really true speedrunners at heart.
Yeah. It's
Can't
important.
fault us for it.
No,
We optimized the run.
it's true. After so many of these, I just know what to do at this point, I guess.
Experienced.
uh, Optimal.
Experienced. You're a top runner in the podcast percent category.
Mm,
Just
yeah.
adding
I mean, talk
another
shows
thing
and
to your
podcasts was
resume.
my number one. So
Oh, yeah.
just
That's
because I do
awesome.
it weekly and it usually lasts like 2 to 3 hours on average, it's like, well, guess that's my most streamed category this year.
Let's go. I love that. I love that. Are you have you ever considered doing things like a subathon or like anything like that?
I
Like
have
have
never had enough of like a Twitch thing to do it like anything like that.
mhm.
I don't know, like even I said I ran that like weekend long speed run event, and it was kind of like trying to just raise money. It didn't really do much.
Yeah,
So if I'm gonna do something, I need to know like the effort I put in would be worth it, I guess.
for sure.
And it's just not right now. But I don't know.
I got you.
Uh,
I got you. I
we'll
got you.
see if I ever like figure out streaming better. We'll see. But at
I
the
would
moment, we're chilling.
I would love to see that someday. I would
Hmm.
love to see that. After
I don't
after
even know what
doing
I
one,
do though. Like,
that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part. You got to think of like goals and stuff and
I
you just
ain't shaving
got
my head. I ain't getting a tattoo. So it's like I ain't dyeing my hair.
to
It's like
you
I'd
got
have
to
I'd have a boring ass subathon.
Nah, you can have pretty compelling subathons without even needing to do stuff like that, you know? Like just you got to expand outside like your comfort zone a little bit and maybe play stuff that you haven't played before or try a new speed run or something like that. Focus it around the content that you usually have. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just stuff like that.
Yeah,
You can make a goal out of anything.
true. Yeah.
Truly.
I don't know what the future holds for me. We'll see. I I did like recently post like last night that I do want to try to make everything a part-time,
Hmm.
like which I've never ever been close to. So we'll see if I can figure out some things to like grow my online presence. But
Yeah, that'd be
at
awesome.
the moment, we're chilling. So
Hell yeah.
I've got my podcast. I'm still speedrunning. We're doing what we can.
That's all that matters. You just gotta be putting yourself out there, and you just gotta be staying consistent.
Hmm.
I think that's the biggest
Yeah.
part. And this
Consistency is
podcast
what I'm
is
working on. This is my
exactly.
this is my greatest achievement right now in terms of consistency. This is the
I
only
was gonna
thing I've been able
say,
to stay consistent at so far. So.
like, this is impressively consistent. Like,
Hmm.
I still can't believe that you have managed to pull this off for as many weeks in a row as you have. Like, it's insane.
We're doing our
All
best. We're almost
all
at
the
100.
credit,
We're almost there.
all the credit. When is the 100th episode? Like, when is that
It'll
gonna
air
be?
while I'm at AGDQ. Actually, it falls on that week, but
Oh.
so it'll be recorded like the week before. But I've got the special guest. It'll make sense.
Ooh. Ooh.
It'll make
Special
perfect
guest for the 100th
sense.
episode?
Yes, I mean I would have them on anyway, but I
Right.
mean it makes perfect sense. I'll leave it at that. We'll get
All
there.
right. Little teaser for the people at home.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yep. It's on the
Love
way.
that.
Just gotta.
Let's go.
It's on the way.
I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors with trying to make content work, man. It's a hard thing to jump into, but
Mm-hmm.
I believe
It
I
is
believe in the
inspiring hearing. That's part of the points of the show. Is I just like hearing how people have gone through everything. Like
definitely.
everyone has such a unique story, but usually everyone can, if they care enough, they make it work. So
Exactly.
yeah,
You gotta have the
very
drive.
interesting, very inspiring, I'd say. So.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Just like being able to hear about how people started and how far they've come and however long, like absolutely. That
Mhm.
is definitely a very inspiring thing to hear all the time. And I feel like you can learn so much too.
Mhm. Oh, I've learned many things over the course of the 2 years
Oh,
I've
I'm
been doing
sure.
this. So
I'm
that
absolutely
is
sure
for
about that.
sure. But yeah, it sounds like we're kind of wrapping things up here. So before I kind of start concluding things, I'll go ahead and ask like any current or like far future plans that you can think of.
At the current moment, I mean, I have my 120 tournament coming up next month.
Hmm.
The second annual Winter 120 Wonderlands. Gonna I think to aim to start that on January 17th. It's gonna be a Friday. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I got a lot of really good runners in there so far for 120 star. So that's gonna be really exciting. That's gonna be like a weekly thing. Um, but other than that, I as in terms of my regular stream, I'm actually doing a Yahtzee tournament this Sunday.
All right.
Or not this Sunday, next Sunday. Today is literally Sunday.
It is Sunday.
Um
Speedrunner
next
Spotlight.
Sunday. Next Sunday I'm doing a Yahtzee tournament. Just with like a bunch of community members. Like that's gonna be a fun thing. It was a subathon goal. Um so I got that going on. That'll be pretty fun, I feel like. And other than that, for my regular streams, I'm just kind of either playing Mario 64, speedrunning, or doing some casual games. I
All
love playing
upside
casual
down.
games. All upside down,
All upside down.
exactly. There
Don't
might
never
not
forget the
always
hand cam. Free content. That's what we're talking about
there
here.
might not always be a hand cam active, but trust me, if you need a reminder, I will hold up my controller and just say, this is still happening. Um, But yeah, no, just speedrunning casual games. You can follow me on like Blue Sky. I'm posting a lot on Blue Sky now. Don't really use Twitter
Based.
that much anymore.
Based.
Um, very based.
Very based.
Zeas.sm64.live. Shout out to Artemis for the handle hookup. But yeah, no, it's great, and you can go check out my podcast as well, Pace Pals. We'll have your boy GTA's on there pretty soon. We'll have GTA's on there
Pod for a
pretty
pod,
soon.
you know.
Pod for pod,
We get it.
exchange business cards, you know. But yeah, you can go check that out as well. That is pretty consistently released. Me, Geo, and West Dog. But yeah, future goals, partner in
Ooh,
2025, maybe,
let's go.
maybe Twitch partner. And I would love to also make content creation like a either a part-time or a full-time thing as well. So, we're gonna be working
It's
towards
a good
that.
goal to
But
shoot for, especially if you're
exactly,
passionate about the craft. So we'd love to hear it.
exactly.
Based,
But
as
yeah,
I say. So
very based,
very based.
very based. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitch. You can follow me on Blue Sky, YouTube, Pace Pals on YouTube as well. Um, yeah,
I
just
will
come check me
provide
out.
all the links. They are on
Let's go.
stream and in the YouTube description if you're watching there. So always
Love that.
available, of
Love
course.
that. Love to hear it. But yeah,
In
no, this
fact,
was
let me remember to do the Twitch shout out because that's a thing you can do.
oh shit. Shout out to the mod team.
Shout out to shout outs. I'm the mod team. It's all me.
It's a one-man operation. We love to see it.
I do work, you know. I try my best out here.
Love
But yeah,
that.
sounds like we are calling it a day. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah,
You heard all the links to find, so do that.
thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. It was great to be the interviewee.
Yes.
Now I finally know what it's like.
First time interviewee after interviewing and commentating for so long. Now
We
you've gotten
finally
the
got there.
taste. Yes.
Now I've really done everything. I can retire now.
All right. Well, GG had a good run. So
Thank you, thank you.
all right, yeah. Just take care everyone. New episodes every Sunday, so stay tuned and take care. All right, bye.
Bye.